obviously unbelievable opportunity for us this week. And, our guys had yesterday was our mandatory off day. So today we'll get together as a team and talk about where we are and what's so important for us to take on and the mindset that we need to take. I think for us, coming off of our last game against Oklahoma, there's a lot of things to build on. There's a lot of areas where we can continue to improve. Defense was what won us that game. Our guys made some big shots as well, but just being able to sustain good stretches of high-level defense on the road is what we needed to do to win on Saturday, and it's what we'll need to do if we want to win on the road moving forward.
Questions? You get the sense now that these guys have a little bit more of an urgency about them, knowing what time of the year it is.
Yeah.
It just seemed like the way they played defense.
I got that sense on Saturday. I think, Dustin, what we all would love is for that sense to occur and then it to be, okay, that's where we are and that's who we're going to be every single day. The key is, I think, for each individual member of our team, and obviously we all impact each other, is every day coming to work with the mentality of taking responsibility for flipping the switch that you need to flip for yourself to take on that mindset. But we definitely talk a lot about where we are and how important games are and, where our opponents are as well, because a lot of the teams we play are in, maybe not the exact same situation, but similar in the standings or close or in terms of the NCAA picture. So those guys want to win too. And, we've got to keep in mind the things that we can control that will go into winning.
That's the thing about it. I mean, the schedule you have left, while it might look daunting, y'all can still put the hammer down a little bit and get some real traction.
Well, the thing about the Big 12, Brian, this has been the case all year, is you get so many opportunities for high-quality wins. And this time of year, with everybody talking about the NCAA tournament and that being where people want to be, there's no better opportunity to go into a game and then play a team that, if you are able to win, is going to be a high-quality win. I remember there were some years when I was at VCU where, we might go 4 or 5 games and you really could only hurt yourself by losing. You could kind of stay where you were by winning, but that's not the case in the Big 12. Now, the thing about the Big 12 is, again, there's so many teams that are jockeying for those positions, and unfortunately, the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to make picks on different people. So, winning the conference tournament guarantees it, and I think for a lot of teams that are in a similar position, a strong finish to the regular season as well, puts you in that spot.
You guys have talked so much about when you get a lead, attacking, staying on the aggressive. Are you showing the guys on tape Oklahoma and just kind of like shaking them like this is what that is?
Well, what's funny, Dustin, is during the game, a couple of the assistant coaches, I won't name names, they're like, we're shooting too fast. And, we got to slow it down. And I turned to them and said, guys, we're getting layups. I mean, so we'll take the 2 points. So it's and plus, to your point, we want these guys to stay aggressive because we've seen what happens, probably Oklahoma State being the biggest example, Duke going all the way back to November, where we try to play kind of a prevent offense or a prevent game. And what that does is it prevents you from winning. So that's not the way to be, particularly the way that Snoop is made, the way that Matt Coleman is made, the way that Dylan is made. I mean, he's not good when he's trying to prevent. He's good when he's trying to attack and trying to be assertive. So we'll definitely talk about the way that we handled that and approach that. But I'll tell you what, we're not going to dwell too much on Oklahoma because I thought that, and it's something that I fought unsuccessfully last time out. Because remember, last time we played Oklahoma, then we played Kansas State. This week, we coming off Oklahoma, and now we play Kansas State. And I just thought we did not do a good job that last time of turning the page after a good win. But, you got another good team that you got to play in the Big 12, and I didn't think we were sharp the way we needed to be. So, if anything, there's going to be a lot of focus on that, remembering that.
Do you sense that, though, that the guys, y'all kind of owe them a little something for the way they played?
Well, I mean, anytime a team beats you the last time out, there's definitely an urgency, to do something about it. But I'm sure there's an urgency on Kansas State's part as well because of, the season they're having, and they want to protect their home floor. So I think more so than anything, Brian, it's about our guys understanding how much they really want to win and then having an equal desire to do the things that go into winning. Mo, I thought, did a really good job of leading the way, if you will, in that way against Oklahoma. He was really upset after the Baylor game, and there was a part of him that wanted to just kind of sulk and be down and, I can't believe we lost. And but he had to fight that, and I think he showed some real maturity. And he started the Oklahoma game with just an urgency to go grab every ball. And that obviously gives us a big lift when he gets 18 rebounds.
You mentioned after the game about how tough this is for first-year guys.
Yep.
Is it even tougher for a guy like Matt that has the ball in his hand so much that down the stretch he's called upon either to facilitate or in his case he's made a lot of big plays? Does that weigh on him mentally? Do you notice that? How do you handle that?
Well, Matt's one of those guys. He reminds me of some of the guys that we had at VCU near the end that he'll never tell you if he's tired. He'll never tell you if anything's bothering him. He wants to be tough. And you love that about him, but you also need honest feedback at times. But I told him yesterday, we were talking, and I said, hey, you played 24 minutes, man, so against Oklahoma. So for you, that's a big rest. So you should be really, really fresh. But, yeah, I mean, I think, Roger, the point I was making, and I think somebody had asked me about Trae Young, and I just think for these freshmen, and I'm not trying to make excuses for anyone, but I think it's a lot. And I don't think anyone that hasn't been through it or is not going through it has an accurate sense for the level of – there's some physical fatigue, but more so mental fatigue of just the battlefield of the mind that these guys go through. Because remember, it's different than even 15, 20 years ago. Now with social media, they're never off. It's always on. It's always the game gets done, and here's this article about what this guy said, and now I got to respond to that, and it's a lot for these guys. And I look out there sometimes, and guys look like they're kind of playing on fumes, but that's reality. And again, it's not unique to us. I think with the point you're making about Matt, that's times 10 with Trae Young, because of obviously the load that he has as a player and all the different things that he does. So, yeah, those guys, it's a battlefield, but we got 2 weeks left in the regular season, and I think the teams that are able to find a way to be mentally sharp, and that's a choice, are going to have the best chance.
What can you take away from the first Kansas State matchup that you guys can target heading into this one?
So many things, Dustin. Obviously, a lot tougher to win there than it is at home. But you also look at the fact that we lost the game by 3, and there's just so many areas that we feel like we can and need to and will be better. Now, Kansas State had a lot to do with, some of our guys struggling. They're, a really well-coached team. They're very sound. They've got some guys that, have been around and know how to take away your first option and make you go to your second or your third. I think we got to do a way better job taking care of the basketball and not giving them points off of our turnovers. We started the game, first play of the game. First play of the game, they scored. But then first time we had the ball, we turned the ball over in a pick and roll, and they went down and laid it up. And there was probably about 5 or 6 more plays like that. So you're talking about, I don't know, 12 points or so off of turnovers. And it's similar to what we said going into the Oklahoma game, in that we said, hey, in our second game, we got to do a way better job in transition defense. If you remember the first time we played Oklahoma, they were getting passes over the top in the first half, and we weren't fixing it out of transition. And we told our guys, hey, this alone, if we can just, do a better job in this area, that chops off a certain number of points. So I feel that way about points off of turnovers. Feel that way about on the defensive end, our pick and roll defense. Their roll man scored 4 or 5 times where we didn't do a good job covering the basket where we needed to, so we need to do a better job with that. And then, guarding the basketball, their guys made some really big plays, especially down the stretch where we just didn't guard the ball well enough. Now, Barry Brown's a good player. Those guys are good players, so you got to give them credit for making plays. But one basketball-specific area that we can be way better in is when you're in a stance and a guy tries to drive you and he kind of hesitates, you have to sustain your stance. You can't lift up out of your stance, otherwise he's going to go by you. And we didn't do a good job of that last time.
One of the interesting things about Snoop said after the game Saturday was that, and I don't know if it was just his confidence coming through, but someone said, how'd you do so well against Trae Young? And he says, well, because I was on him, right? Yeah, and then he said that, and then I think he realized what he said. He says, well, but I had my teammates' help and everything else.
Yeah.
But
You'll take the honest answer.
I like the honesty.
Yeah.
Did the film reflect that? Because it was not 26 points like you would think 26 points. I mean, did he really play as well as
I thought
you seem to think he did?
He did a great job. Snoop is is a terrific defender, and he's had some terrific moments this year on defense. Grayson Allen, Colin Sexton, and he was as good on Saturday. He did have help though,
Right.
so I'm glad that he finally got around to that part of the answer. One of the things we did a way better job of in the second game is just having urgency and transition to what we call load to the ball. So put an extra help defender or 2 in his vision so he doesn't feel like he's playing one-on-one all the time. And also then in pick and roll defense, for the most part, Mo, Dylan, and Jericho were very good being at the level of the screen and having active hands. There was a couple breakdowns, but for the most part, they did a great job of that.
And the reason why I ask that is that something that can go to game, or is that from OU specific?
It can go from game to game, Brian, but it's a choice. I mean, he needs to be. I was going to say laying in his bed. He's not. He's in class right now, but I mean, wherever he is, he needs to be thinking about locking down or playing great defense on whatever that next matchup is that he has. And if he does that, then it can be a continuous thing, but it's not an automatic. And with Snoop, one of my points of emphasis with him is make that your first thing, your number one thing. Make that your priority. It doesn't hurt your offense. It's not a negative towards any other parts of your game, but if you make that your first thing, then it's a lot better. There's a lot better odds of you being great in that area.
When you look at Jacob Young and talk about defense, those 2 steals he had, is that almost a message of you get the playing time when you put in the effort?
Oh, well, I mean, he gave us a big lift. He's the one guy, he's kind of in a category of his own on our team because he's never scared or lacks confidence or worried about anything. He's very competitive, and I thought in that game he did a great job of coming in and playing with poise and taking what the defense gave him. Gave us a huge lift with those 2 steals. He has an aggressiveness about him. So, I mean, if he can come in and do that night in and night out, it's huge for our team. It gives us a big, big lift. We got to work on layups because the one he took off from like the foul line. And I know what he was thinking. He was thinking he wanted to dunk the ball. If you remember, he missed a dunk against Kansas earlier in the year, and we made a big deal out of, hey, just go lay the ball up. So it was nice that the coach on his shoulder won that battle because he made the layup. But it was a high degree of difficulty because he literally took off from the foul line.
Was second half Dylan, I mean,
Oh, man, that's the one we need, Dustin. Can we put that in a bottle? Can we put that in a bottle and bring it out? Yeah, I mean, that's the really unique, special player that we know is inside of him, but, that at times he's not been able to bring out. Next time you see him, ask him if he had any special advice going into that game. He had a little special visitor on Thursday. I'll let him tell you about it. But I think you can see it on his face, Dustin. You can see kind of the gears turning in him. Am I going to be this way? Am I going to be that way? Can I? It's a confidence thing. We want him to be confident. He turned down some shots earlier in the game, and at one point early in the second half, I grabbed him and said, Dio, this might be like Iowa State, man, where you just got to shoot a lot of balls, man. You might have to shoot a ton of threes because they're leaving you open. And he took another one and missed, but was like, okay, no problem, man. Just bounce into it, shoot it with your legs. And then I think he ended up making 3 more after that.
Where's the fine line of settling for threes and threes coming within the framework of the offense?
For him or for everybody? I mean, it is a fine line. It's a moving target, Roger, because depending on how the other team plays you, it may literally be the best shot you can get. Or, they may play you a different way and you may be able to get the ball deeper. If you've missed 3, 4, 5 in a row, you want to put a huge emphasis on let's try to get in the paint. For instance, when we played Kansas State the last time, they had 5, 6, 7 more paint touches on their offensive end than we had on our offensive end. That's an advantage to them. So certainly when the ball's not going in, you want to attack and try to get in the paint as much as you can. But some of these teams are just flat out not guarding some of our guys on the perimeter. If you're a Division I college basketball player and the ball's passed to you and you're wide open and your guy's standing 7 feet off of you, it's hard to do much else other than shoot, because if you think about it, if you're guarding me and you're that far away, I can't really feed the post because you're halfway in between me and the big guy. I can't really drive because you're so far away, you're going to be able to anticipate wherever I'm going. So you've got to have the ability to step up and make that shot. And I think if you take each of our guys individually, our perimeter guys, plus Dylan, they can, and they've shown at times that they can make that shot. We just got to keep working at getting more consistent.
3 last ones.
So, one thing that people talk about a lot with this team is a lot of guys who don't really shoot up to their ability in practice. Is that something that you've seen with a lot of, obviously that's fairly consistent, but does this team struggle with that a little bit more, being more inexperienced?
You mean shooting better in practice?
Shooting better in practice.
Yeah. Yes, our guys are I would say, and I haven't looked at the stats, the practice stats in the last couple of days compared to, a week or two ago, but we're shooting a much higher percentage in practice than we did last year at this time. Now, we got off to a really slow start shooting the ball from 3 this year, percentage-wise, and it's crept up. It's nobody's going to confuse us with Loyola Marymount, but it's gotten better over the past several weeks, and ironically, it's gotten better. And our best shooters, obviously not playing right now, and Andrew, but we just got to keep working on getting high quality shots, and then guys jumping in and shooting the ball with confidence and shooting it the right way. That's been a huge emphasis, because sometimes guys will rush their shot or fall out of their shot. Well, that one's not going to go in very much. But I think there has been some gradual progress. The key is, Wednesday night there will be. We'll come off a ball screen. We'll have a guy in the opposite wing, and his man will be standing in the middle of the lane. And we'll throw it ahead to that guy. And, that's where they say, the people say in the NBA, it's a make or miss game. Well, that's what it'll be. We got to jump up and make that shot. And then if we miss it, we got to get all over the glass.
Over the past couple of games, whenever Kerwin or Matt got in foul trouble, you kind of had to keep them in there because
Yep.
how integral they are to the performance.
Yep.
What do you tell them whenever they get in foul trouble that how to maybe alter their game a little bit or better take or
Just don't foul. We tell them don't foul. And I think with Matt, probably the biggest thing, two things, is we tell him show your hands, because a lot of his fouls off the ball, he gets tangled up with guys with his hands. And then the other thing with him, he's got to get way better at this, is he's leaving his feet too much, trying to contest shots. And guys in this league are smart and crafty. They're going to show you the ball, and if you leave your feet, they're going to jump into you, and they're going to draw a foul. And I told him, I said, Matt, when did you become a shot blocker? You don't need to leave your feet. Just contest with high hands. But, yeah, we just try to emphasize for them to not foul. We may play a little bit more zone when they're in foul trouble, just because you're a little less likely to foul. But, those guys are so important. It's tough to go 7-8 minutes without a Snoop or a Dylan or a Matt in the game.
I know this season's everything to you, but then you have to totally flip the switch when you go see Andrew, and that's a whole different situation. How has that been for you and for the guys to, kind of balance the emotion of what he's going through and realize that basketball is really important to you guys?
Yeah, it's just different, Roger, than most years. I mean, I remember one year I was an assistant coach. This is about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more. I was at Clemson, and my mom was really sick. She was really, really sick. And so I was just kind of balancing, handling some things with her. And I was on the phone with her probably 8-10 times a day and just trying to help her. And then you got your scout, you got your team, you got your guys. So that was hard, because the game would get done. We had a really good year that year. The game would get done, but win or lose, it just kind of hits you as soon as the game gets done. Oh, yeah, there's this other really, really big thing going on too. So it's similar to that, except it's a member of your team, so it's not just me with a family member. It's our whole team with a family member. The positive is he's doing better and better, so we're everyone's excited about that. And when you talk to him or you see him or you see videos of him and he has a smile on his face and he just has a twinkle in his eye of excitement, that's so uplifting and exciting based on just compared to where he was a few weeks ago or a month ago. I was able to see him yesterday, and his spirits are really, really good, and it just kind of reminds you of the fact that he's always been a guy who's been a fighter and had a toughness about him. He's taken this phenomenal approach, but I think for the guys and for our staff, he's always at the front of our minds. And when we go play or we go practice, we have to compartmentalize as much as we can to focus on guarding a pick and roll or transition defense or whatever it is. But that doesn't mean as soon as we get done with that game or that practice that we're not thinking about him, because we are every day.
Any possibility of him making an appearance at a home game?
I don't think so. I mean, we only got 2 left. I don't think so. I mean, he's still in the hospital right now. Hopefully he'll be able to get out soon and be able to do his treatment on an outpatient basis. But like I said, we only have 2 home games left, so he's 1,000% locked in on what he's doing, which is exactly where he should be.
Real quick, I've been hesitant to ask this, but I do want to ask it. In your mind, are you planning on him returning at some point in the future?
That'd be awesome, but I hope so. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know any details about how that works, and you know, obviously the number one concern is him beating this terrible disease and, you know, beating it for good, you know, and it never coming back, and you know, then I don't know how it works with, you know, how long you have to be free of it to, you know, to be able to do the things that are demanded of you as an athlete at this level. So I have no idea. I mean, and I don't think it's something that anyone could put a timetable on. I know in his mind, and this is one of the things I think that's a motivator for him, is he sure ain't done playing the game of basketball, you know, and yeah, and you know, when these guys are here, Brian, and I played Division III, but I was the same way. It shows how dumb I am, but their whole identity is a basketball player. Like this is how they think of themselves. Like I said, I was the same way. I used to walk around carrying a basketball around campus. And if that gets taken away from them in some way or another, sometimes it's taken away when your eligibility is up. Sometimes it's taken away with an injury. In Andrew's case, it was abruptly, you know, taken away in early January with this prognosis or with this diagnosis. So the exciting thing is he's fighting to get that back, and I think, again, he still thinks of himself in that same way, which is awesome.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.